So now that you have created your foldable by overlapping the pages and you've copied the labels at the bottom of each one along with drawing the line for your tabs, what we're going to do now is we're going to start filling in the information that goes on each page. So if you haven't finished gluing the graphs on each page, continue to do that. But as we go through each page, you'll need to pause and get the information for that page. So on the Desmos calculator, desmos.com/calculator, you're going to type in the equation y equals absolute value of x. You can either start typing the absolute value bar, which is a shift of the backslash, or you can pop up the keyboard and you'll see absolute value of A as a key that you can hit. So you're going to type this in, and then you're going to draw that, the graph of that function on the graph paper on this page. On the graph paper that's on this page.
Y equals the absolute value of A?
Yes. Right. And so you're going to have something that looks like this on your graph paper. This is your absolute value function. You're going to have this in Desmos. And then we're going to add other equations that you will see and we'll draw on the different pages. So in addition to drawing this graph on your page, you need to write that the vertex of 0, 0, the vertex of the parent function is 0, 0. But in general, the vertex is going to be h, comma, k. So the h and the k are going to come from this formula. Note that the b is outside the parentheses of x minus h. You need to write this note. If the function you are analyzing is written as bx minus h without the parentheses, then you must factor the b so that it looks like this. Otherwise, the h value won't be what you think it is. You'll give me the value of h, but it won't be correct. So if it is written in a question without the parentheses, you are required to factor out the b in order to find out what the h value is. So it needs to be in this format. So copy this information onto the page with this label. That's your first page. So at the top of this page, this is the H page where H is on the flap. Yes. Either at the very top or just above the tab at the bottom, write that H shifts left or right. Then copy these two equations. I want you to graph both of these on the Desmos calculator and then draw them on your paper. Either color code them or label them so you know which is which. It's x minus 4 and x plus 2. This H tab. We're on the H tab. So you're on the H tab, right? You're on this page with H. You're writing shifts left or right.
We're going to come back to the
H.
Like this?
Yes, you're on the H tab now. We finished the one above it just now. Now we're working on, we finished that one. Yes, now we're going to go to the next one, which is H. This one. Yeah, it depends on whether you count the top flap or not. So what happens on your Desmos calculator, what happens when you type in the absolute value of x minus 4? Goes 4 which way?
Down. Negative.
It goes to the right.
What? It's like a horizontal shift.
This is a horizontal shift. So
I'm done.
So it's going to the right. So then x plus 2 is going which way? To the left. So you want to write that on your paper. That x... Yeah. Oh, I got the drawing.
Wait, so
The two, so you know which one is which. The x minus 4 graph moves right, and x plus 2 graph moves left. Sorry. There. So either label the two graphs or color code the two graphs so that you will remember when you look at it that x minus 4 went right 4 units, shifts right 4 units, and the x plus 2, absolute value of x plus 2 graph, shifts left 2 units.
Plus is the,
Okay, I'm going to explain why, but just label them for now. I wanted you to see it happen on the calculator, which is why I'm having you graph them. And then I'm going to explain it. Okay, so here's the rest of the information. When you see a minus sign, it's going to go right because the formula is y equals x minus h. So when h is positive, x minus is the formula. So when h is positive, it's going to go right. But when you see a plus sign, that is because x minus a negative h minus a minus is plus. So you will see a plus sign, but the h will be negative and it will go left. You see a minus sign right here because the formula is x minus h. When h is positive, if h is positive 4, you will see x minus 4 because the x and the minus is the formula. Then comes the value of h. But when you see a plus sign, that's because x minus minus h, we don't write minus minus, we write plus h. That's when h is negative, which makes it go left. So it's moving opposite to what you think it will, but it's because of the formula. Now, you're going to need to know, when you look at this, when I ask you for the vertex, you're going to need to be able to tell me that h is positive 4 in this one, and h is negative 2 in this one, because of this formula. So you're copying this, K shifts up or down onto the K page. Then graph these two functions, absolute value of x plus 5 and absolute value of x minus 7. Graph them on Desmos, then draw them on your graph paper. And then we're going to talk about what happens. Now we're going to look at the A page. So first you need to copy, these are the things that A can do. A reflects across the x-axis. A can also either stretch or compress the function vertically. So I want you to put these three graphs, these three equations in the Desmos calculator. Then graph them on your graph paper for this page. And then we're going to talk about how to write what happened. How you should write the transformations for these three graphs. So put them in Desmos, then graph them, either label them or color code them on your paper. And then we'll talk about what you should say when you're describing these. So A is negative. A is negative, reflects across the x-axis. The value of A is greater than 1. It's a vertical stretch by a factor of that value. And if the value or magnitude of A is between 0 and 1, it is a vertical compression by a factor of that value. Anybody still copying this page? Okay. So now we're going to look at the page for B. So on this page, at the top or else just above your tab, you need to copy that B reflects across the y-axis and also either stretches or compresses horizontally. So B can cause a stretch or a compression horizontally. B can also cause a reflection across the y-axis. So then I want you to do these three graphs on the Desmos calculator. Notice that the negative x, the 2x, and the 1/4 x are inside the absolute value marks. So put these in the calculator, see what happens when it's drawn, and then draw those graphs on your graph that goes with this page. So now I want you to copy the general information on this one, just like you did on the A. You need to copy this information onto your foldable on this page as well. So B less than 0, that means B is negative. It reflects across the y-axis. The value of B greater than 1 is a horizontal compression, or it horizontally compresses by a factor of the value of B. And if the value of B is between 0 and 1, it horizontally stretches by a factor of the value of B. So this packet that I gave you last time, you were supposed to complete all the vocabulary words, the 4 at the top of each page for homework. And so what I'm going to do now is show you how to use your Transformation Foldable to complete this paper. You need to complete this paper, and then you need to fill out the one you picked up today that has all the parts of an absolute value function. I think this was intended, the new one was intended to have you write the definitions one place and answer the questions the other, but you already have your definitions on this paper, so you don't have to rewrite the definitions. You can just give the answers on this paper. Okay. Anybody still copying this last part for B? So you're given a graph. You're asked to write the equation of the absolute value. It should say function here, but whatever, or graph. So we look and we see that it has moved right 3 units. So it has shifted right 3 units. So you can look on your foldable at H, at the tab for H, and see what do you do to show that it's shifted right 3 units. Well, inside the absolute value, you have to put x minus 3 or x plus 3 to go right. X minus 3 to go right. And then we can see that it's been shifted up 2 units. So on the K tab, you should see that outside the absolute value, you put +2 to shift up. So this is what you would write. That's it. For when you're told to write the equation. So what are we going to have to do to the one on the right? Reflect it by making it negative outside the absolute value mark, right? And then it's moved left 4. So how do we write left 4? X plus 4. So there's a negative on the outside. There's an X plus 4 to make it move left 4. And then it's been moved down 1. So then what do we do? -1 at the end. So do you see how this works? So then you're given a graph. They're going to ask you a bunch of questions. They're going to have you draw the same 2 that I had you put on your foldable and answer those. Now, for here, this is where you use your words. Compared to the parent function, the graph is, so the new one is, and this is where those words that we put on your foldable come in. Shifted right 4 units. If you just say shifted or shifted right, but don't tell me the units, that's not enough. If you just tell me it's shifted 4 units, but you don't tell me if it's left or right, that is not enough. Right? You have to tell me all of these words, or you lose points. So you're going to do that for the other 3 on this page. Then these are the vertical and horizontal stretch. You've already put the vocabulary words in if you did your homework. So you're going to do the same thing here. You're going to compare this to the parent function. It is shifted right, but instead of going over 1 and up 1, it's going over 1 and up 3. It's kind of hard to see that grid mark on here, but so that's 1, 2, 3. So if it went from 1, 1 to 1, 3, what did we multiply by? A 3. So this is going to be vertically stretched by a factor of 3. So we need a 3 in front of the equation. It's moved right 1, so we have to subtract, and then it isn't moved up or down or reflected. You can also figure this out on this function by using the slope, which is what it tells you here. So that's how you do this. So then you're going to use that, and you're going to finish this packet. So you need to finish this packet and complete this page. If any of that you don't finish before the end of class becomes homework, but you probably have time to finish. Then as soon as I enter attendance over here, I'm going to walk around and check that your foldable is finished and give you a grade.